with COVID-19 a big concern in the Western Cape. There's plenty to discuss, and I'm joined now by the Premier of that province, Alan Winde. Premier, thanks very much for your time. First of all, I just want to pick up on this report by Aisha, where Keith Cloete clearly lays out the impact that alcohol is having on the trauma wards. Now, we understand that there's a massive impact from banning alcohol outright. It's just not something that it seems we can afford in terms of our economy. But nevertheless, it must be seriously concerning. Your province has been quite proactive in limiting public events, banning other events. Why not be proactive about alcohol and do what the Nelson Mandela Bay has been forced to do, which is restrict sales to 4 days a week at the very least?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still to be convinced that by restricting sales, you change it. I think that we've got our management systems in place, and that's what I've asked the President to consider, that we show that the management is working. What we are doing is we are increasing law enforcement, though, and a real focused area onto those spaces that might be pubs or some night spots that are perhaps not adhering to the rules, and we are moving in. You would have seen even the National Minister joining us on Friday evening. We've been doing it for a week, and we will continue to monitor. I think we've also got a very good trauma monitoring system in our hospitals, so we do get regular reports on what it looks like from a trauma point of view, whether it's alcohol-related or even motor vehicle crashes, etc. And tomorrow at our Cabinet we get the latest update again. But we are saying that we are going to manage it through law enforcement and also getting behavioural change, or continue with behavioural change.
Look, I have to say, I don't think behavioural change is working. I mean, sadly, what we're seeing is that despite appeals for people not to drive drunk, and this doesn't just relate to COVID-19, we're talking decades of attempts to get people to change their behaviour on the roads and also generally around alcohol. It just simply doesn't work. Are you confident that you have enough ability to really control and monitor what people are doing when it comes to alcohol?
Well, we really are working with this side of the equation versus the further lockdown. You know, that it's about a balance, and you know, then what happens is you move everything into the illegal and illicit economy. So all the legitimate jobs get lost, and all the illegitimate jobs continue. So that's really what we believe. We've got a good management or monitoring system in place, and we're saying let's try it. Let's see what.
Of course, you know, you could have the same argument for the people organising the rage festivals. That is also going to generate a lot of revenue. But you're not keen on the rage festivals, are you?
Well, we've spoken to the organisers here. The organisers have let us know that they've moved that out till early next year, and also we'll monitor and see how it goes. It's not about the sale of alcohol versus the actual events. It's about how the events are run. So, you know, what kind of events are they? What kind of systems are put in place? What kind of new normal is there?
The reality is, it does boil down to human behaviour, though, because if you read through what the rage organisers did to try and make sure these youngsters stayed safe, they were suggesting that you quarantine yourself before and after. They had all the information available, and it was utterly disregarded. And why? Because of alcohol.
Yeah. Well, we're going to monitor it. We're putting extra law enforcement in. Tomorrow we'll also get the law enforcement report back from the last week on what they have actually been doing, where they've raided, what kind of consequences have been because of the raids. And, of course, we'll monitor those numbers every single day. I watch those numbers in every single suburb of this province. And all of the drivers, whether they be, pubs or restaurants, or whether they be any kind of gathering, we use our tracking and tracing to see what it is, whether it's a funeral or whether it's with alcohol. I mean, we really are monitoring it.
It just strikes me that the approach seems to be a little bit locking the stable door after the horse has bolted. You wait for people to break the rules and then you clamp down on them. And you've been quite proactive up until now. I'm wondering why you're not going to be more proactive in terms of making sure events that we have identified as super spreader events, the rage festivals are super spreader events. Why aren't you saying, guys, it's not happening, not any time in January, next year, maybe. We're not getting a vaccine in this country at the very earliest. We might get something in March.
Well, we'll watch the numbers. It's still January's a way away. We'll still be engaging, whether it's that event or any kind of event that takes place, right down to what are the various management principles for our beaches over the season. We'll be getting that tomorrow as well from our local authorities on what plans they've put in place. I'll have a look at that too, and we'll have to monitor it as it goes. It's I do think that our economy cannot afford a lockdown. We've got to find any other way in which to keep those jobs in place, but at the same time make sure that we are finding new normal ways in which to continue with our business.
Premier, I have to get a response to you on the news today, the investigation into Brackenfell High School, that private matric event was not a whites-only affair, the finding that those invites were sent out to all the children at the school, but still there's concerns around the school. What is your response to the news?
So obviously that needed its own investigation. I'm happy that there wasn't what everybody was saying was, or what perhaps I should say the EFF was saying, that in actual fact it wasn't true. But obviously at the end of the day, we also need to, as a province, understand that, we're 25 years into democracy, but still we've got areas where we need to work on. And that school specifically, they engaged, or I engaged along with the MEC when we went to go and visit them. What programs have you got in place? And I know it's even in the own school, a school that I'm on the governing or was in the governing body with, we really do work very hard trying to correct those injustices of the past. Whether it be in human settlements or wherever it is, we continue with working on creating that space that gets us to a normal society as fast as possible.
Thank you so much for your time this evening. Premier of the Western Cape, Alan Winde, speaking to me a little earlier, was mentioning the rage issue. And just for clarity, because there's a lot of confusion, the Jeffreys Bay rage event is, of course, in the Eastern Cape. That has been cancelled because, of course, the area restrictions apply there. The Belito one is finished. The Johannesburg one has also been cancelled. And the Plet one, as the Premier is telling us, they're going to see if it can be held safely at the end of January next year.